This is from Jesse. He says, hey, Matt, love the show. I have a question for you, please. How can you reconcile not believing in the death penalty with the existence of truly evil people? Why should Gosnell, El Chapo, Bundy, Manson, that is, etc., be allowed to sit behind bars for life on everyone else's dime when they could never be set free? If there's eternal life, what's wrong with releasing them for judgment a bit earlier and removing our responsibility of protecting ourselves from that evil? Hi, Jesse. Well, it's not necessarily the case that I don't believe in the death penalty. I've wavered on the issue back and forth. I've flip-flopped on it, I admit, quite a bit. I've never been in principle against it absolutely. As in, I've never felt that there's no circumstance where it's okay. I've never believed that. For a while, I was of the opinion that it's only ethically appropriate in third world countries and those sorts of situations where they don't have the prison infrastructure to segregate dangerous people from society for decades. But recently I have expanded my view, I'll admit. I've realized that when you have someone, especially someone as evil as what you just described, if you're going to keep them in prison for decades, that requires, I think, an undue and unfair burden on the public, on the taxpayer. Because if you think about it, some people are so evil, so horrible, so monstrous that even their fellow inmates won't tolerate being around them. So these people have to be held in protective custody forever, for their whole lives. Or you could have people who are so dangerous and so sociopathic and so manipulative that you can't risk having them around other prisoners because you don't know, you can't risk them kind of sort of starting their own little prison cult and being able to manipulate prisoners and get them to do their whim. So either way, when you have people like that, the Manson types, and we can't execute them, then the only other option is to hold them in protective custody, solitary confinement for their whole lives. And so we have to ask ourselves, are we really morally required to keep someone in protective custody, solitary confinement, for decades just to protect them because their crime was so heinous that even their fellow murderers don't want to be around them? And I think, no, I don't think so. I think in the end, that doesn't seem ethical to require that of the public and of the taxpayer and of society. And you could even argue that it's actually less humane to keep somebody locked in solitary confinement for 50 years than just to execute them. I was reading about where they're probably going to send El Chapo. I mean, they're sending El Chapo to this fortress in I think, Colorado, and he's going to be in solitary confinement in a little concrete box for 23 hours a day for the next however many decades. I guess they have no choice but to do that, but is it even, can we even say that's more humane than execution? So I agree with a lot of what you're saying there, Jesse.